troubles, and they're enormous, actually boost him in this race? And will that change anytime soon?
Look, Wolf, we have seen that repeatedly now. He's been indicted twice. Both times his poll numbers went up, and not enormously, but they did go up, and he got a fundraising boost, which was very notable. Now, he is facing the possibility of 2 more indictments. We will see whether that comes to pass, and we will see whether it has the same effect, but there's no reason to believe that it wouldn't. He has had this hold on a certain segment of the Republican Party for some time, and as much as people try to compare this race to the 2016 race, he's starting out higher than he did there. So maybe something will change. It's very possible that his voters will leave him. It's very possible that they will decide that they're interested in DeSantis, who is essentially pitching himself as Trump without the drama. But the drama doesn't seem to be something that bothers those voters.
Yeah, good point. Scott Jennings is with us as well. Scott, Trump is hitting Governor DeSantis for his position on ethanol. But remember, Ted Cruz actually won the Iowa caucus despite opposing ethanol. So what do you make of that messaging from the former president?
Yeah, I think what I'm more interested in is the fact that he just continues to pound DeSantis on that or anything else he can think of, because I think the campaign still views DeSantis as the only person who could even legitimately begin to put together enough voters to challenge him. So I'm not sure that issue is going to be the definitive thing. To me, it's just the continued drumbeat attacks on one guy, and it's DeSantis. They don't seem to be worried about anyone else in the field.
Ashley Ellison, how do you see it?
Well, Trump is being consistent in his attack on Ron DeSantis. He is the closest person to potentially contest him at this point. Some other folks in the Republican field could get closer, but Trump is taking him directly on. Now, it does appear that DeSantis in recent ads is starting to be more directly attacking Trump. But until some of that field in the Republican Party consolidates, it just doesn't seem like one is going to be able to find a direct path to overcome Trump. I mean, I find it interesting, though, that Trump is saying that the reason why he is being indicted is because he's leading, when we know that the investigations were going on long before he actually announced he was running for president. And so luckily, our legal system is not operated on politics, but people who are supporting Donald Trump don't seem to really have faith in our legal system right now, which is also super troubling.
Scott, let me get back to you. DeSantis actually told Fox his campaign has a lot more work to do. Listen to this. Listen.
We have a lot more to do. I've also been attacked more than anybody, as you know, Will. You know, Donald Trump has spent over $20 million attacking me. That's more than he spent supporting Republican candidates in last year's midterm elections. At the end of the day, people do want to win, though. And, you know, you can't win with just Republican voters. In Florida, you know, if you want a big victory, you got to win independent voters. You got to win people who haven't voted for our party in the last several cycles. I've shown I can do that, and I think we can do it nationally.
So, Scott, why hasn't the governor's sizable war chest actually translated into more support in the polls?
Well, I don't think he's had a chance to fully deploy it yet. That's number one. And number two, I think a big part of his problem is just the fragmentation of the voters who may be looking for someone else. Trump's got his people, and they're not going anywhere. And as Maggie pointed out correctly, they've even gone up a little bit. But let's just say it was half and half, and you've got half the party divided up. He's got the biggest chunk of that other half, but he's not been able to take out a Trump, but he's also not been able to run anybody else out of the race. It's possible that his war chest, because he's got way more than the rest of his non-Trump competitors, will eventually run some of those folks out of the field. He's going to have to do that if he has any chance at all to catch up with Trump, because that's where his extra voters are going to have to come from, because I think peeling them off of Trump is going to be really difficult.
Maggie, you just heard DeSantis say he needs independent voters to win. But is he really achieving that by running a conservative campaign that's very far to the right, actually, of Trump?
There's a lot about the DeSantis candidacy that is contradictory. He, deplores pollsters, and yet he's quoting polls in that same interview that you talked about. He talks about electability, and yet he is taking positions that are running harder and harder to the right, which helps him in a place like Iowa, but is not necessarily helpful in a place like New Hampshire, and as you point out, not helpful in places like the suburbs. His campaign tweeted out a video that the campaign didn't even make that was decried as homophobic pretty broadly, and he defended that video even though he had the opportunity not to. There's a wide swath of voters in a general election that could be troubling too. So yes, I think he is doing things that are not linear, and it's not entirely clear what the point is sometimes day to day.
Everyone, thank you very much. Good discussion. Just ahead, we'll go live to the war zone in Ukraine as Kyiv's forces try to reclaim Bakhmut.